Yo, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to another chill Marvel Snap video. I am Sir Knight from the Snap Squad, and I'm coming at you with a quick update for the May 11th OTA over-the-air balance changes in Marvel Snap. I wanted to get these out to you as soon as possible, and this is the first time I am looking at it as well, so we will look at these changes together and discuss the impact they'll have on the metagame. So let's check this out. So the first one we have here, if you can see it, it is Drax. Drax is changing. He is changing from a 4-5 to a 4-6. And then his on reveal is if your opponent played a card here, +2. And that used to be a +3. So this is still standard 4-8 if your opponent played the card here. But he is kind of getting that now vanilla 4-drop power, structure of 4-6. So he's just like Enchantress, he's just like Rock Slide, he's just like Iron Lad, he's just like the Thing, he's just like White Queen, he's just like all the other primary 4-6s with an ability on them. So that's kind of a good change. I think that's good for him. That'll make him a little more playable. He'll be a 4-8 occasionally. Not bad. It says the Guardians can create some of the most exciting gameplay in Snap with their predictive playstyle. While we've been doing better with the release of Nebula, they're still performing poorly overall at the moment. Out of all the Guardians, Drax stood out to us as the clearest buff candidate. Compared to the other cards like Rock Slide and White Queen, with good stats and a guaranteed upside, Drax had below average stats for a very inconsistent upside. We're giving him a small buff by moving some of his power from his ability to his base stats to improve his baseline performance. I think this is a buff. It's a very slight buff, but it is a buff nonetheless because you're going to have more power overall. Over the course of all your games, you're going to see more power overall. Right, so that is a buff, a slight buff. The next one here is a little bit of this little bummer, Rock Slide. My favorite deck right now is Dino Darkhawk, and I was going to make a video, which I have a video I'm going to upload here pretty soon about Dino Darkhawk. I think it's the best deck in the game, in my opinion, and I'm going to have the stats and prove why and show gameplay why. But he's a 4-6, and now he's going to be a 4-5. So a minor nerf. This probably won't affect my willingness to play this deck whatsoever. But let's go ahead and read what they say here. Rock Slide's viability took a leap forward with the release of Darkhawk and Zabu. So it's easy to look at this nerf and assume that we're targeting Darkhawk by weakening one of his support cards. And sure, you'd be right. Darkhawk has been one of the 10 winningest cards in the game since release and featured in multiple strong decks. In fact, Rock Slide often mirrors or improves upon Darkhawk's stats, because they're both in the top performing Dino Hawk deck. Look at that, Dino Hawk. That's fascinating because I was literally just going to make a video about why I thought this was the best deck, and now they're kind of proving my point. The top performing Dino Hawk deck. Since Rock Slide's easier to adjust, we're making this tweak with the aim of weakening that deck slightly. This is a very slight nerf. This isn't much of a nerf. They've been trying to adjust Darkhawk for a while. I think the reason why Darkhawk is going to be strong and will always remain strong is because he's a 4 cost. So he combos so well with Zabu. Unlike Dino, who's a 5 cost, or Ronin, who's a 5 cost. Because Darkhawk is a 4 cost, that just makes him so much more easier to throw into decks and work with things like Mystique so much better. So I think Rock Slide is still super strong. I would still run this even at a 4-5 easily. The next one here is Enchantress. It's going from a 4-6 to a 4-5. I clearly thought they over buffed this card. I thought 4-6 was way too strong. I thought it was going to be played in everything. And she has been played in most everything. Not everything 100%, but I thought it would be played in literally everything. So I thought they would have to revert this, and they are to some degree reverting it. She's now a 4-5 instead of a 4-6. Enchantress has grown in popularity, yeah, no duh, since her buff to her 2 weeks ago, which was expected. While we're excited by how much more she's affecting the meta, she's become one of the most played cards in the game, which is a bit over a mark. We're optimistic that a small nerf to her 4-5 would put her in good position going forward, but hey, it was fun while it lasted. I knew that was way too much. It was pushing decks out. Like, you just saw Patriot disappear. Patriot basically disappeared entirely from the meta because of Enchantress. But what's funny here that is kind of interesting to me is they nerf Rock Slide to hurt Darkhawk, but then they nerf Enchantress, which helps Darkhawk. So you're going to see Enchantress removed from some decks, not every deck, but you will see her less in the meta, which will in turn improve Darkhawk's win rate. So that is kind of a little bit of a plus minus there. That's kind of like addition by subtraction for Darkhawk. So they might be, you know, nerfing Rock Slide, but they're nerfing Enchantress, which was the greatest enemy to Darkhawk. So interesting. So I just think that helps Darkhawk. So we'll see how that plays out moving forward. They might actually need to put her back to a 4/6 so she gets played more. We will see. This is very, very interesting. Venom goes from a 3/1 to a 3/3. And it's the exact same ability. Destroy your other cards at this location. Add their power to this card. Wow. Venom has been the worst destroy enabler for a while now, averaging lower power and destroy decks than his peers Deathlock and Carnage. While he's seen fringe usage in decks with Taskmaster, we haven't seen any of them really take off. We'd like to give one of Marvel's most iconic anti-heroes space to shine, so we're feeding him a hearty +2 power buff. Yeah, that's really big. So he's basically on par with his energy, so now he's not really much of a negative side to just play him as a 3/3. Now, that's a little below power, maybe like a 3/4 would be best, but if he eats anything, he's going to shoot up in power, and you get the benefit of destroying the cards that you want to destroy. So whether that be Bucky Barnes or a Nova, you get all the added benefits of the destruction, and now he's just a healthy 3/3. He's not an anemic 3/1, right? So that is actually a really big buff. You might even start seeing him just get swapped, maybe just swapping out Deathlock for Venom, possibly. Deathlock still has a lot of utility because you could just play him on an empty lane for 3/5. That's pretty good. But Venom's going to be quite a bit better now. That's a really big buff. Absolutely a big buff. Pretty cool. Bonus over the air. This is interesting. So they can adjust percentages of how often a location is seen. So as our library of locations increases, we'll be making ongoing adjustments to hit the sweet spot we like for dynamic games. To that end, we're reducing the appearance weight on a few of our existing locations, which means they'll show up less frequently in your games. It's unlikely you'll consciously observe these changes, but we thought you'd like to know. So Attilan, I'm not too familiar with these by name. I know that Chugila is the rock location, so that's really nice. The location where if you play a card there, it adds 3 rocks to your deck. That's a little bit of a nerf to Darkhawk as well. Sanctum Sanctorum. Wow, you're going to see less Sanctum Sanctorum, so no more of the location where you can't play cards in there. That's interesting. That really helps changing a lot of these bad locations here really helps blind location playing. You know, when you have a card in your hand and you're like, oh, I don't know if I want to play it into a location, I don't know what it is yet. Removing these bad locations really improves blind location playing. So you can play into a location blindly and not worry about being something like, you know, Lechugila or something. Even though Lechugila, you would dodge Lechugila if you played into it blindly. But removing these bad ones allows you to play into locations blindly with less risk. So this is really good changes. I like seeing bad locations removed from the game. These aren't removed, but it says they'll just show up less frequently, which is always a great thing. So these are the changes. We have 4, Drax becomes a 4/6, Rock Slide becomes a 4/5, Enchantress becomes a 4/5, and Venom becomes a 3/3. So those are the changes. Look forward to seeing my deck video coming out probably tomorrow, which I think is the best deck in the game, and I will discuss that more in the next video. And I will catch you guys in the next one. Peace.